Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it already hit. Yeah. That's a blueprint material for sure.
Welcome to another Nonsense Wars production. Today we look at the 8307 Turbo Racer, a 390-part Technic set released in 2000. It also has the then fairly common Create and Race branding. The LEGO company as a whole wasn't doing too well at this time, but perhaps because of that, they managed to turn out this very strange set. As usual, let's look at the box first. LEGO made these flip-top boxes for many years, but they finally phased them out shortly after this set came out. They have an internal tray as well as a plastic preview window. The top of the box shows the main model and the suggested usage. The flap shows the various game modes, and the back simply shows more details. The core of the Turbo Racer is the oddly shaped 3142 motor, which only appeared in 3 sets and a parts pack in the early 2000s. It accepts 3 AA batteries and has a forward-reverse switch on the top. It has 3 outputs, one on each side and one in the rear. The side outputs connect to each other, and the rear output spins at about half the speed. The truly unique parts in the set make up the bumper assemblies. Each one contains 2 curves and 2 straights. These join together using a special connection, but the end pieces do have some pinholes. Strangely enough, the bumpers we got actually differ from the ones shown in the instructions. I guess those may have been pre-production or perhaps a variation. Fairly normal parts in somewhat unusual colors make up the rest of the set. The hard plastic wheels in teal and purple are probably some of the weirdest of the remainder. The core model consists of the motor box and some hard points for mounting accessories. It doesn't have any particularly notable construction techniques, but the greebles on the sides don't connect very well and come off easily. The Technic Fig clips into a harness attached to the power switch. If the model hits something that can push the bumper up and back, the linkage will trigger the switch to stop or even reverse the vehicle. So the way this set works, you use the bumpers not to bump the model, but to guide it in a loop or figure 8. Since the curves don't even form a 180-degree turn, you need to rotate it while the vehicle traverses it, and it does take some practice, though it might also depend on your environment. In the small space we had, it took us maybe 10 to 15 minutes to start getting smooth runs, not even considering the 3 specific game modes. Monster Grabber adds some mostly cosmetic greebles to the vehicle and some less cosmetic critters to your playing field. It looks like the ramps on the critters are supposed to stop the vehicle by lifting and pushing the bumper switch assembly, but in practice, the model mostly pushes the critters. It looks like the tires on the critters don't quite touch the ground or don't quite have enough grip. Moving them back along the spine does help a bit. As far as gameplay goes, it seems a little too easy to hit the critters, but again, limited space. Turbo Racer adds a shooter to the vehicle and some triggers to the bumpers. You use the bumpers to aim the model, and you pull the triggers just enough to activate the shooter. At the same time, the instructions tell you not to aim at faces, so where do you shoot it? Nonetheless, I think this game has the best functionality of the three. It takes a reasonable amount of skill to aim and trigger the shooter, and it generally activates properly. Wheel Roller replaces the bumper with a rolling drum trapped by a cage. More interestingly, it combines the critters from Monster Grabber with the triggers from Turbo Racer to form a gate with fixed targets. The width of the gate forces you to drive the vehicle in a figure 8, and hitting a target should lift the cage, stop the vehicle, and free the roller. In theory. In practice, this mechanism seemed to work the worst out of the three. In isolated testing, we could not get the cage to lift, and in actual play, it would lift on impacts or not stop the vehicle. Perhaps our use of third-party rubber bands on the switch mechanism played a factor, but I lean toward it being just a bit too fiddly of a mechanism. With no real alt models, this set seems a bit of a one-trick pony, but I'm not too surprised given its part selection. It also requires a second person and a large space to play, unusual for a LEGO product of any era. Finally, the apparent $90 MSRP feels very steep, considering the similarly sized Record and Play cost only $50. Nonetheless, I don't think we will ever see a set like this again, so it remains pretty unique. And on that note, this is the end of the video, so have a nice day.
A lot of dust. What about the front axle?
Also dust.
There's a little bit. No, but is it residual inside the holes, or is it...
I have no idea how we would tell that.
Very interesting.